up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are up and into the middle of the week on a Wednesday here on the Snake Sports Talk Show, live from Denver, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. We got so much to talk about. Major League Baseball postseason is here. NHL preseason, and even the WNBA finals and the NFL as usual. So much to unpack. But we got it all here for you here up onto the show. Appreciate everybody for joining on and being with us here up and in today's show. Lots to really explain. No Chase here tonight, but of course, we're always thinking of him. And one big thing, which was kind of crazy, and I'll get into more of this here on the show, but I figured I wanted to start the show off with some spicy stuff because we don't usually talk about Major League Baseball all that much because we got the NFL. And usually during the time in the postseason, it's always a fun time talking about it. So we're going to be doing our postseason prediction. I know they've already started. I know I'm a little bit late to the party, but I figured I'd get it out the way. And Jake's top 10 at the bottom half of the hour. So talking about the LA Dodgers, I got them winning the series against the Cincinnati Reds. The next series, maybe not so much. But it's typical because you watch the Dodgers and you just see right there before your very eyes just who they are and what they struggle to be. Number one is that this Dodgers team is just unstoppable in many ways, especially with their offense. I mean, to run up at least 10 runs against a Reds team, which here's the thing. I don't question so much about their offense. It's their pitching more than anything else. Shohei Ohtani and Teoscar Hernandez both had 2 homers each in that game. But for them to lead 8-0 and for the game to end at 10-5, I don't trust that with the bullpen. I know my wife's a Dodger fan. But my problem specifically when it came down to the Dodgers is this was going to be a problem that many people were very skeptical on. I know how most of you Dodger fans feel, but you got to understand something here. This is not something that's make-believe. This is difficult to really trust, especially when you're in a postseason where you need your bullpen to step up. The minute that they got hit in the late innings, like this is what's bad. Teams that initially have bad bullpens often don't always go further in the postseason. So the Dodgers, I mean, they come away with a win. I'm happy for them. But, you know, in these types of instances, there's only so much of this that you can hang on to until it's kind of like little too late. So that's the part that really concerns me more than anything. But the Dodgers, the only hope is that their offense, they have to put up the runs because they know they have an untrustworthy bullpen. They have to put up amount of runs. It's just like even in the NFL where you have to put up X amount of points. It's like the Dallas Cowboys. They got to put the offense all together because they know defensively is a humongous liability. That's no question. And so for the Dodgers, they had to put up the amount of runs as they do. So, and Shohei, who knows if this was the only night that he only puts up these kinds of numbers. So game 2 tonight, I got the Dodgers taking the series. I think the Reds are they're young. I think a little inexperienced. It'll take them a little bit of time. I love Terry Francona, but this is what happens when you get a young team like the Reds, because they're only in here into the postseason because a few teams basically flopped. Worst part of the year. So I just wanted to basically show this. But as usual, the Dodgers, anytime when you get it with Shohei Ohtani, this is the kind of show that you're going to get.
Because I was feeling good. Well, that feels good. Look out. This may leave the park. Wow. Ohtani's second of the night, and the Dodgers are feeling great. It is 8-0.
It's just unbelievable to watch Shohei Ohtani and just what he does. I want to shift over to another team during the postseason, which most people didn't even believe that this team would even make the postseason. I called this one the minute that they ended up trading away one player who was just cancerous in the locker room, and that is the Boston Red Sox. Look, Boston, they are a scrappy team, and last night when they had Garrett Crochet throwing 7 2/3 innings with 11 Ks and only just giving up 1 run to the Yankees, the only bad part about this for the Yankees is that the Yankees cannot afford mediocrity again, and which is why they're ripping their hair out when it comes to Aaron Boone. Every time, like the Yankees, they just have decision issues, which is why is it that Aaron Boone is still a manager of this clubhouse? I don't understand this, but I'll get to the Yankees a little bit later on in the show. But the Boston Red Sox, to me, feel like a scrappy team in the American League that could seriously spoil up some teams. I know it, like, honestly, with Detroit, I thought this would have been a good team. They were on fire to start the year, but then all of a sudden they got cold, and they got cold at the worst part of the year. So the Red Sox, if you go back to, and this is what I think is also interesting, because the Red Sox could have done better business. They couldn't afford Mookie Betts. They couldn't afford Xander Bogaerts. They couldn't even afford Rafael Devers. But I think they could have avoided a lot of those things if they made the right moves. I mean, honestly, when you look back at it, Rafael Devers, like you wasted a lot. You should have had Xander Bogaerts. You could have kept Mookie Betts. But sometimes businesses are not always perfect. I mean, that's the reality. It is what it is. But the biggest story about this is that the Red Sox, I mean, if you take a look at the documentary, I got to get a chance to watch it because, I mean, unlike Dallas, where they got their documentary, the Red Sox are in the postseason. And they describe like the improbable 2004 season and just how magical it was. The curse of the Bambino, and how this team like had been off and on for years. But the Red Sox, what I've said to people in this season, because everybody all completely like felt like this was a Luka Doncic type trade, it wasn't. And just like Luka, what happened to the Lakers? The Lakers are out in 5. They weren't even considered like a tough team coming out of the West. Like, just because you got Luka for the long term did not mean you were the one team that was very intimidating. Okay? They went home in 5 games. Now, the Lakers this year, we know could be a little bit different. But I think a lot of things are true. Is that whenever a trade will happen, there are multiple things that can go into a trade. Either number one, somebody's trying to get value, okay, for draft picks, for prospects, all the rest of that stuff. That's the easy stuff. They're trading him away because they can't afford the contract, so somebody else is going to end up taking that on. I mean, they could do this with Trey Hendrickson because they gave him, the Bengals gave him a pay raise, and if they trade him or not. But the last thing you want to do is have a player walk off with value and you got nothing, okay? That's why lots of teams like to trade for value. So then there's teams that trade because of certain situations and scenarios. So go back to that Luka trade. And that happened up in Ottawa Saturday night. It was weird. And when I got the text messages up and on my phone, I was just like, what in the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden I said, oh, Luka got traded. I'm like, what? That was what was insane to me. So once Luka got traded, the Lakers know that they got the long-term package. If you look at Dallas right now today, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, lots of these guys, and even the centers that they got. Okay, the bigs. That's a Western Conference team right there when healthy. Okay, that's no gimmick. So the Red Sox, when they ended up trading away Rafael Devers, here's what I said. Don't react to this. The Red Sox were doing business. Now, it may not be the kind of business that's my kind of liking, but they were doing business at the end of the day. Rafael Devers last year at third base had a minus 24 run differential saves at third base. That is horrible. So he was not contributing when it came to defensively for the Red Sox. And the Red Sox looked at it and said, we need to shut down third base because the majority of hits that go down the line and why you're not putting away games is why you ain't making the postseason. And the Red Sox made that decision. Rafael Devers, when they asked him this, he's like, no, not giving up third. Red Sox are like, okay, we're going to sign Alex Bregman. We're going to push it. Once they did, he said, no, I'm not moving. And then that's when they traded him to the San Francisco Giants. I can only remember when Giants fans were so ecstatic because they got a power bat, they got all this, they got all that. And where are they? Oh, yeah, they're not in the postseason. Why? Because the Red Sox took care of the cancer in the room. Yeah, it was hard to swallow that pill. Red Sox fans, yeah, they kind of freaked out for a minute. But what happened is they actually got a breath of fresh air in the organization. That's what they did. Okay, Alex Cora could smell that stuff. And so when Devers was refusing to move to DH or first base, in fact, David Ortiz, a Red Sox legend, was trying to convince him to play DH because the power bat is there. You are a very good offensive machine. You just can't play defense. What's wrong with that? And so initially when he got traded to the Giants, he said, oh, I could play first base. I could play anywhere. What a shot at Boston. But then what'd they do? They called up their number one overall prospect, Roman Anthony, Jaron Duran, Alex Bregman, several other young Red Sox players. Like, this team was having fun, and they were on a tear. And whereas the Giants, they're sitting up on the couch in Cancun watching the postseason. All I know is that there are reasons why trades do happen. There are. You should honestly see the signs. When companies make moves, it makes moves for one of two reasons: to better or to worsen the company. That's initially with what it is. That's the way of life. It's the way the game works. But the Red Sox made the move because they don't want to deal with the cancer in the room. And you watch players, they're happy, they're playing well, and that's why players like that. So when you get rid of that cancer in the locker room, that's the stuff that puts smiles on their faces. And the Red Sox, they got to this point. This was no luck for them. They were determined. They wanted to play hard, and this is where it got them. That's initially with where we are today. So, and again, Boston, like, I can't blame them. I can't blame them for trading away Devers. Why? Why would I need to do that? It makes no sense. So at that point, people were all acting like the Luka trade, thinking the Giants fleeced them. They won everything. No, they didn't. You just only got a power bat off of that. I mean, the Giants, they just fired the manager. So they're already in certain shambles as it is. So that's one thing that you got to also take into consideration. But the Red Sox, the Yankees are in trouble. If they don't get this right, they will be in trouble. But I'm honestly, I think the Red Sox could be a threat in the American League. Good stuff. Lots to talk about, previewing the 49ers and the Rams, because we really, really need to understand what we're dealing with Brock Purdy. Because right now, it's Brock Purdy's not playing this week. And this goes again as a testament to what I was talking about. And then finally, Jake's top 10 at the bottom half of the hour here on the show. Appreciate everybody for joining on in. Well, we know with the Major League Baseball postseason underway, we know a lot of players are projected how they're going to play. Also, there's one that is trustworthy of all of that, and that is Payday Fantasy. Get paid with arguably the most trustworthy pick'em fantasy app at the palm of your hand. Just go on to paydayfantasy.com. Check out what they offer. Daily contests going on every day of the week, even during postseason. NHL action, NBA, college football. Lots and lots to choose from in your daily pick'em fantasy boards. So check it out for today. And when you sign up, use the promo code SNAKE to get 100% deposit matchup of $100. That's it. 100% deposit matchup by using the code SNAKE. Just by signing up. Payday Fantasy has you covered all season long with all the best prop bet pick'ems. All you got to do, it's that simple, is go on, sign up, use the code, then pick the player, pick the projection, over, under, and then sit back, maybe have some popcorn, and then get paid with Payday Fantasy. So join in. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or seek therapy in your respective states, because none of them, Payday does not want you to gamble irresponsibly. So check it out for yourself at paydayfantasy.com using promo code SNAKE. Sign up, pick the player, and get paid. Payday Fantasy.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
So tomorrow night, Thursday night football, 49ers and Rams. And unfortunately for the San Francisco 49ers, they have been hit with a big-time injury bug, and I am not surprised. Look, I said this before the season started, that because everybody looked at that Niners schedule and all said, this has to be the easiest schedule they got. Well, it's not looking so easy right now when you've got the injury bug, is it? So the San Francisco 49ers, I'm going to take the Rams here in this game. That's my lock bet of the week for my Inferno 5. I just think the Rams right now altogether from just culture, their defense, their offense, all of it. Sean McVay is going to get the best out of Kyle Shanahan. And here's the problem. Like, they got no Nick Bosa. They got no George Kittle. They got no Brandon Ayuk, not even Jawan Jennings or even Brock Purdy, their quarterback. Brock Purdy this season, and which is what I've told everyone, and to be completely honest, is Brock Purdy was going to have an issue with having to feel the weight of the bag that he just got. I know it doesn't hit, but the first year after they signed the contracts, that's initially where franchise quarterbacks often feel it. It's hard. And now Brock Purdy, here's what's funny about this. Brock Purdy's starting to get reckless with the football. So he's already making mistakes. He's already turning the ball over. And that's the one problem about Brock Purdy. You're starting to see everything that happened up in Iowa State. I like the kid. I understand the story itself is it's sweet and all, but you have to come down to reality. What Kyle Shanahan's problem is that he's allergic to first-round quarterbacks. A lot of these quarterbacks right now that are balling out are first-round quarterbacks. Okay? The only ones that are lucky outliers, Dak Prescott fell in the late round, but look at how rejuvenated that he is. And he is the kind that when you work around with an offense, Dak at least can work with the podium. He can lead by example. And that's the one thing that even after surgery, like, Dak looks great. Like, that looks like an MVP quarterback, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the defense is just atrocious. But Brock Purdy, what special does he have other than just being Jimmy Garoppolo with wheels? What is he? That's my one biggest problem. I think the kid's got a great mind. He's got a good head on his shoulders. But I'm sorry, I can't fall in love with stories this often. It's like every time when there's a new story that's out, I'm like, what are we in, college hoops? We're watching Wichita State and, all the other stuff. So I don't get it. I really don't get it. I think one of the things that San Francisco is dealing with, and this is what they started with to start the year, okay? The entire roster from top to bottom on the offense and the defense is brittle. That's fact number one. There's 5 reasons here that after when I said, I don't think the 49ers can honestly make the playoffs because right now it's a do or die season for them. And I don't think that they would honestly overcome a lot of those adversities no matter how easy the schedule is. But the fact of the matter is this is the most brittle roster in the NFL. That is a fact because now with Kittle and Bosa and Purdy and a lot of these guys out, it's hard. Second thing, you have to have trustworthy guys in this room because of the roster that you have. Why do you think that the 49ers hired back Robert Saleh? Why? They got youngsters that they got in the draft where they had an edge rusher. They had a couple of other players that they addressed on defense. And it's young. And there's even guys that are on the 5th, 6th depth of the chart that only Robert Saleh and only Robert Saleh can manage with this. That's why he's the most respected DC in the NFL. That's why Kyle Shanahan trusts him a lot because you're not going to go and pay out some money for guys that you know are going to be expensive. And I think that's kind of the problem with Jed York is that they are so allergic to first-round quarterbacks, they don't want to take a chance. So that's the other fact is that they're so allergic to first-round quarterbacks. Why? Did the Trey Lance trade traumatize you that bad? I mean, I understand them going and getting a quarterback, but 65% of the league whiffs on franchise quarterbacks. You can afford to get another one if it doesn't work. I mean, I'm watching the Cleveland Browns switch quarterbacks right now. They got Dylan Gabriel. What's the whole point that they're going to do with? I'll talk about that later. But there are many teams in the NFL that are making moves until they got the right guy. Don't fall in love with a story. Seriously. Because the story may be sweet and all, but when you look at reality right in the face, That's where you're really going to start to see your teams that can be taken seriously. Because, I mean, Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith, but they knew what they were getting with Mahomes. Didn't win in college, okay? Out of Texas Tech, he had Cliff Kingsbury as his head coach. Didn't win in college, but they knew what they were getting as a first-round quarterback talent. That's the one thing. Just because you whiff on a first-round quarterback does not mean that it's the be-all, end-all. So stop feeling traumatized for that. You got to be able to close the book. If you don't do that, that's a problem. And that becomes horrifying. And the San Francisco 49ers, like I said, it's going to get tougher if they do not figure this out. It really, really will. You have to have a type of sit-down with this. Because initially what's happening is that whether Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, it's all accustomed to Kyle Shanahan's offensive scheme. That is it. I've seen this over and over and over again. Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard and a lot of these other quarterbacks in San Francisco. I've seen too much to know what exactly is what exactly the San Francisco 49ers, their identity is. I mean, I know the offensive line is not as great, but the thing is, how are you going to address this? You got to be able to take chances. Don't be afraid of what those repercussions may be. If you succeed, you succeed. And if you fail, that's okay. Don't be stuck in the failure. Because initially, a lot of those things are there for you to get better. So I think the Rams, that's my lock bet of the week. It's kind of hard, even with a shortened season. But it sounds to me Mac Jones is going to end up starting over Brock Purdy. So 3 important guys, they're out, and now it's hard. It's really, really difficult. And that's why I often look at Kyle Shanahan in these spots. But who am I really to put the finger on for San Francisco? That has always been a question for the last 7 years already. Let's go to some news.
And now, here we go. Hey everyone, it's story time. This is the hot press.
We got some news around in the sports world as usual, so we figured we'd look at it. So interesting timing. We're going to stick to the NFL up from here. So it's hard, but the Indianapolis Colts have ended up announcing that Colts corner Xavier Howard has ended up announcing his retirement on heels of struggles against the Rams. So after 4 games in, he abruptly decides to retire. So Xavier Howard, I don't get this. It's kind of really interesting, but Xavier Howard ended up making his decision of the much criticized performance that he had against the Rams against star Puka Nacua on Sunday. Howard was not at practice, but the team's injury report indicated he was absent because of a personal matter. So the 32-year-old basically is coming out and saying, I'm done, like just blatantly out of nowhere. That's an interesting kind of thing to happen. So when talked about this, Shane Steichen ended up addressing this, and I quote, as the head coach, obviously I have final decision on all those things, and we have those conversations throughout the week. Looking back to with Xavier, those were 2 elite receivers. That we were going up against last week. So again, we'll go through the process this week and evaluate everything like we do every week. So no corner. What are the Colts going to end up doing at this point? That I just think blatantly the struggles against the Rams. Have you realized that Puka Nacua is literally that receiver? Like, he is very good. Can't believe it. So that was one of the things that I don't understand with like the whole blatant retirement, poor performance. Like, come on, bruh. Like, you're really going to quit on the team that quickly? I don't get it. So it sucks. So another news story as we're kind of staying into it. So, again, talking about the San Francisco 49ers on their news story ahead of tomorrow night's game against the LA Rams. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings are all out in the game. Where Brock Purdy's dealing with a toe injury, Jawan Jennings with a ribs and ankle injury, Ricky Pearsall with a right knee, and Jordan Watkins with a calf. The updates also, they're already missing wide receiver Brandon Ayuk with a knee and George Kittle with a hamstring. This is just bad. It's just flat out bad right now for the Niners. But what Purdy ended up talking about as he was addressed this here early on in the week. With a quick turnaround, with a Thursday night game and everything, it's just tougher. You don't have as many days to get right and heal up and feel better, which a lot of people have voiced that out. Like, they know that this is always tough when you go into short weeks. You have to readjust. Kyle Shanahan's been through this multiple times, and we know it's tough. But, again, this is what they're going to be starting in this game. They're going to be starting DeMarcus Robinson, Kendrick Bourne, Sky Moore, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and are probably going to end up elevating Russell Gage or Malik Turner. And so that's tough. But like I said, people looked at this on paper and thought that the schedule for the Rams was going to be that easy. I said this before. It's the NFL. It never, ever gets easy. Because you got to think of injuries, you got to think of physicality, and you got to think about the weeks you're playing in. So at this point, it's that's tough. That is the toughest stretch now for the Niners. And whether they actually do something about it. Should be interesting, though, nonetheless. All right, so final story. We're sticking with Major League Baseball as big news ended up hitting in Atlanta. So the Atlanta Braves have announced that Brian Snitker will not be returning as the Braves manager in 2026. Kind of had a feeling this was coming. The 69-year-old is now moving on, and one who managed the 21 Atlanta Braves World Series championship as a highlight of almost a half a century with the organization. And so Snitker, they're moving on. This was kind of hard. But Snitker ended up talking about this. I said I'm going to need a little time after that last out to decide what I'm going to do. After I got home and decompressed a little bit, I did decide this was the best move. So Snitker's been with the organization for 49 years as a minor league player and a manager and a major league coach and manager. So he's had so many familiarizations with this organization as a whole, and it's been a very proud organization, the Bobby Cox years and everything. And so he led Atlanta to 811 wins, 6 NL East division titles, 1 wild card berth, and the 21 World Series championships in his 10 seasons as manager. I kind of feel like that, and I know that there are some empty spots right now when it comes to the manager spots for some organizations, but I feel like that I just kind of feel like Brian Snitker literally could work with the Angels. But right now there's being talks about Albert Pujols being considered an option. I don't really know about that, but I do think that the Angels sounds to me like it makes the most sense because they need structure, they need consistency, they need a lot of things to really help out their organization. So a big thank you to Brian Snitker for everything that he's done in Atlanta for 10 years, man. And I honestly felt like that was a Bobby Cox feel with Brian Snitker, just loyalty, understand, the Braves are a very proud organization, and they take baseball very seriously. So tough, but I kind of saw this one coming. So we'll see what's next for him. All right, that was the news.
And now, here we go. Hey everyone, it's story time. This is the Hot Press.
top 10 coming up into the later part of the hour, but I figured that I would basically go ahead and just basically talk about the postseason up from here because, like I said, a little bit late to the party, not going to lie, but it's better late than never to just talk about, the postseason, where we kind of sit, and what we should expect. So lots of things to really break down in the postseason because this year it's going to be nothing but small market teams that we know can make some serious noise. And that's what it comes down to. I know that there's a lot of really good teams up here from this bracket, but I just truthfully think when I look at this, there's going to be a bunch of spoilers. So without further ado, let's cue the music here for a bit and let's go ahead and break these down. And so here we go. So starting up into the postseason, I know it's a little bit late, but let's start with the American League here. So I'm going to take the Cleveland Guardians over the Detroit Tigers. They won today to tie it. But I thought the Tigers, they got pulled at the worst time that they did. And so to me, my biggest takeaway is that the Cleveland Guardians, they got hot at the right time, pitching, hitting, and the Tigers right now, outside of Tariq Skubal, they are the opposite of what it was years ago, even with the Guardians back in 2016, where they had Corey Kluber and he had a great postseason. Even the Giants with Madison Bumgarner, they're the opposite of that. Because to me, outside of Tariq Skubal, who had a great night last night, pitching and 14 Ks, who do you have that you're going to trust on the rotation and up and on the bullpen? This is a good team, but to me personally, I don't think they have some of the pieces that I feel like Cleveland may have to end up beating them. I'm going to take the Guardians to win the series. And then finally, the Red Sox and Yankees. As much as I love the Red Sox's story, I really, really do. I got to go with the Yankees up from here. But for right now, like the Yankees, they're leading 3-2. And I think the offensive bats outside of Anthony Volpe and a couple pieces, they got to get going. And at the same time, they had Carlos Rodon on the rotation. I think personally, when it comes to the bullpen, I think the Yankees do have some spots there. Garrett Crochet had a great night last night, and he threw for 11 Ks. I thought the Red Sox really did have a very good turnaround, but I think the Yankees might prevail. So I got Cleveland against Seattle and the Yankees against the Blue Jays. So let's start with the Guardians and the Mariners. I'm going to take the Mariners here in this one because although Cleveland has been hot, I don't think that they're the kind of team that can initially spoil after one series. So I think the Mariners, they're sitting comfortably. I think they're well rested. The only problem with me when it comes to Seattle is that there's a part of their rotation I don't quite trust. That's where everybody's got to be up and onto the same they got to be in the same role from top to bottom, 1 through 5. So I'm going to take the Mariners to win the series against the Guardians. I think it'll be a fun one. And then finally, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. I got to be honest with you. I like Toronto, but I don't know if this is honestly, they're going to have a hold against the Yankees. So I think the Yankees will end up making it through against the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm not being biased about this. I think power bats, I think experiences, and lots of things do play a role into it. But again, if the Yankees lose up this series, that's going to really break this bracket. But I have a good feeling about this. So, again, I think the Yankees making it through against the Toronto Blue Jays, they're a good team, young team. I feel like between Seattle and the Blue Jays, they both are kind of identical. They feel like they're very completed. But I feel like there's a part of me that I think the Yankees could definitely overcome. And then finally, the Mariners and Yankees in the ALCS. This is a tough one because here's the problem. If the Mariners afford that game to go to 7, that's a long series. I'm going to probably take the Yankees up and in this game, in that series. I think, to me, the Yankees do have top to bottom really good players, really good hitters, and I think it ultimately comes down to the offense really does save them a bit more. So that's why I'm very adamant about stuff like this. So I think the Yankees making it into the World Series. That's my prediction from there in the American League. Let's go to the National League now. Dodgers, there's no question. I think the Reds are just a young team. I don't think they've got a lot of the experiences. I love Terry Francona. This Dodgers team from top to bottom on their roster, like on the lineup, is just powerful. You can't pitch around it. And then not to mention, I mean, yeah, the bullpen I know is a problem, but the Dodgers, what could you possibly do with all that offense? It's just like Dallas. Dallas has a very good offense. The defense just can't seem to hold. So that's why I'm like, I think the Dodgers are good enough, or offensively they can get through, but not for like the next round. Padres and Cubs, I'm going with the Padres. Listen, my big thing is like I think the Cubs do have a good team, but the problem is PCA is cold. There's a couple guys that I just think they don't quite, I don't think they lack in small ball efficiency. I mean, pitching-wise, they've been really good outside of some areas, but the Cubs, they just need a little bit more. The Padres, from top to bottom, it's a scrappy team. Last night they lost. They got pissed off, and what do you know? There was definitely some fire in their bellies to where the Padres could prevail through. So I'll take them. So I got Dodgers, Phillies, and then Padres and Brewers. Let's go to the Phillies and the Dodgers. This is where I think this stops for the Dodgers, because I think the Phillies, they have a very good lineup. Offensively, they could put up runs. Bryce Harper, they got a lot of attitude. The only thing that concerns me a lot about the Phillies is just the communication between Nick Castellanos and Rob Thompson. We got to figure that out, because right now they cannot afford to be short on a lot of these positions, especially too. They got a very good bullpen. I trust the bullpen a lot. So that's the one thing about Philadelphia. They just have to be locked in. And then Padres, Brewers, I'm going to take the Brewers, because to me personally, Milwaukee is a small ball team. They got a Kansas City Royals 2014 feel to them, where pitching wise, they've been excellent. Small ball hitting, they've been very, very good. And that's the one thing that I think for the Padres, they're going to have a tough time trying to figure that out, because a lot of their starters, I mean, you can go ahead and tap into the bullpen, but starting pitching like that is what's going to try to be the Achilles heel for the Padres. But I think it might be too much, because when you get a small ball team, they're getting hits, they're getting guys on base, and then you're scoring in runs. That's very difficult. That's very difficult to contain. So I'll take the Brewers and the Phillies in the NLCS. And right from there, I'm going to take the Milwaukee Brewers to go to the World Series against the Yankees. Because here's my thing. Brewers, they can find a weakness very quickly with their small ball hitting. I just think this is a team that is destined. They got all the right pieces, and even for the bullpen, they will find ways to shut down the big bats. And they've actually played very well against the Phillies. So that's my take on it. So Yankees, Brewers, I'm going to take the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm going to take the Brewers to win the World Series. I just think it's kind of time. This team has been aggressive. The team's been scrappy. And this is a team that I know, like top to bottom, they've been trying to figure it out. But I love their manager. I think this is why I think, the small ball, like small money market team really is going to prevail on this. So that's my biggest takeaway. So that's what I got. Yankees, Brewers. Brewers win the World Series. I just think top to bottom, this is a very good team that has all the right pieces, all the right stuff, and they're going to be the kind of team that is going to give a lot of other teams fits. So, and you know what? This will be the Brewers' first World Series ever in history. I mean, you got to think of Robin Yount. You got to think of Paul Molitor. You got to think of a lot of these guys that have come in and out, and even from like the modern era with Prince Fielder and Ryan Braun. They have tried several times with different teams. I just think this is the Brewers' year to do it. Gary Sheffield, yeah, another one. They've been great players. So, yeah. I've never been this hot about Milwaukee, truthfully. I mean, 2011, I thought would have been the team that would have done it. I mean, Corey Hart was red hot. Casey McGee. There were a lot of guys that were playing well. I thought they had a chance. So that's my biggest takeaway. Can't complain. All right, we're going to take a break, and I'll give you my top 10 NFL teams in Week 5. It was so tough to put all of this together. I'm serious. Anyway, so since 1953, Maker's Mark has been making the most delicious Kentucky straight bourbon in history, making their mark as arguably one of the best Kentucky straight bourbon with the best flavor, and arguably making your mark no matter what it may be. Promotion, maybe a new relationship, or whatever your mark may be. Make your mark with Maker's Mark. 21 and over, please enjoy responsibly and see the history behind what goes on in their barreled caskets at makersmark.com. Make your mark with Maker's Mark.
Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Alrighty, folks. So I took a lot of the time. Good to have you all in. I took a lot of the time to try to figure out the top 10 list, and it's so freaking difficult because there were a lot of just shakeups. It's crazy. So really interesting how the top 10's been set up, but I trust my gut with this. Let's go. Cue the music. Top 10. Here we go.
Rank them up.
Yeah, it's time.
Let's go, baby. It's on time right now.
The top 10 NFL teams, according to Jake.
All right, folks. Here we go.
Number 10.
All right, so the number 10 team to me. Number 10 team I've got the Indianapolis Colts. Listen, I know Daniel Jones did not look good last week, but here's the thing. Defensively, they were sticking into the game against the Rams. Jonathan Taylor is just that good. I mean, the Colts are getting a revival and a rejuvenation with him running the football. But the Colts, I can't knock them too heavily. I think they are right where they need to be. I got them at 10. It's going to be interesting throughout the year, but the Xavier Howard thing, I don't know how that's going to play around now with the Colts, but I got them at 10.
Number 9.
All right, my number 9 team to me is the Kansas City Chiefs. Their offensive firepower is back. They look a lot better. I think once, Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton and a couple others, once they started getting back into the mix, that is what the Kansas City offense is meant to look like. I felt like they got back up on script. They got right back up to where they needed to be. Patrick Mahomes, 4 tutties last week against the atrocious Ravens defense. But I think, the Chiefs, they were pissed off in the initial first 2 games against tough teams up from there. But I think their offense now looks better. It's going to be crazy.
Number 8.
I know how people feel about the LA Chargers, but look, I'm not going to knock them very heavily. I mean, it was hard for me to put this together. The Chargers, the offense did not end up playing great. Offensive line, Joe Alt right now. Good news is, sounds like he's going to be missing a couple weeks. It's not terrible. So the Chargers know they have an offensive line depth issue, and that's what they needed to address. Defensively, with Jesse Minter, he hasn't given up 20 plus, only just the closest that he has was only 21 points. It's a great defense. Yes, they're without Khalil Mack, but to be manageable and to still make that game against the Giants that close, I could see them rebounding next week against Washington. I got them at 8.
Number 7.
The number 7 team here is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, I've told people several times it was a matter of time until the Bucs were eventually going to lose. It's not their fault. Injuries ended up plaguing up. Their wide receivers, Emeka Egbuka is just a beast. Okay, I love the kid. He's going to be an offensive rookie of the year. Defensively, they really did play up to their strengths, but there were some things that there were miscues that should have been hit. They kind of seemed like they were in it on the game against Philadelphia, but Philadelphia, they play physical. They play well. So I think they're still a very good team, and I got Tampa at 7.
Number 6.
Number 6, I got to be honest, I love what I'm seeing out of Seattle. The Seahawks right now in the last 4 weeks, defensively have been excellent. Not to mention, how did you like Kenneth Walker running the football? K9 is back, and he looks a lot better. Sam Darnold. There were some of the throws that he didn't quite connect with, but Sam actually looks poised and comfortable. I love the style in which Mike McDonald is putting together with his team. Physical, run the football, don't turn over the ball, limit the mistakes. It is interesting how, the Seahawks, even when they started playing their division rivals, it was a close loss against San Francisco, but over that stretch, they're on a winning streak. I got them up at 6.
Number 5.
All right, number 5. I know people are like, why do you still have the Green Bay Packers up at top 5? Let me be honest with you. It was a tale of different weeks for 2 positions. Defensively, they were great against the Browns, only limiting them to 13 in that loss. Offensively, they kept up on an atrocious Dallas defense. So, again, not every team is always going to be perfect, but I still got Green Bay. The only thing that scares me is outside of their incredible front 7 is just the secondary outside of Xavier McKinney. Those corners and everything that I watched from them all throughout the week was just not great. I was having a hard time trying to figure out what the problem is. But again, I thought offensively they looked better. I got them up at 5.
Number 4.
Number 4, I've got the Detroit Lions. I think this team has woken up. Like, the Detroit Lions look really good. I felt like they turned up a notch the minute that they lost against their division rival Green Bay Packers. And then since then, they have ran up the scores. They beat the Ravens. They have also beaten another team. And I think offensively, man, it's crazy. Crazy. So I think the Lions, they turned up a gear. They were pissed off. They were just waiting. They were just waiting for the opportunity for things to cook, and they are cooking at 4.
Number 3.
The LA Rams. Look, I got to be honest with you. Even with that, how competitive that game was, the Colts could have won that game. But the Rams, they know, they play physical. Puka Nacua is arguably right now one of the best receivers playing in the NFL. Like, there's no question. The Rams, with just the way that they have their schedule set, they've got a very good stretch. I think Matt Stafford didn't turn the ball over once last week and threw 3 tutties. This is a very good, capable offense, and it's no surprise to Sean McVay. This Rams team offensively really can put together a very good offense. I got him at 3.
Number 2.
Number 2, I got to tell you something. There were spurts in the game where even though Philadelphia won, there were still some things I didn't quite like with them. But they are a physical team. I got him at 2 for the moment because there has been times where Philadelphia's executions offensively or defensively has not quite gone their way. And yeah, whether luck or whether whatever happened, like in some spurts, Philadelphia, they outplay you physically. So it's interesting. So I think the Eagles, they are a very good team, but Jalen Hurts not throwing for over 200 yards already. That's just something that doesn't quite sit well with me. I got him at 2.
Number 1.
Number 1, I know lots of people were thinking about that, but I got the Buffalo Bills. I got to be honest with you. The Bills with Josh Allen, the defense looks much better. I think Joey Bosa and Gregory Rouse, they look good. This is a team that I think they figured out a few things up defensively. I can only just knock on wood for the moment, but my only biggest thing about the Bills is you cannot fold your defense. I'm serious, because The minute that the Bills defensively, they fold, it's going to be a long night and a long game. So I cannot just see this, the way that it plays out and the way that it works out, that the Bills, they got to keep their foot on the gas. Get more pressures, take away a lot of those things. I think that's the thing. And so the Bills, Josh Allen, and the offense, I mean, they still continue to play physical, running the football efficiently. So that's what I got. Top 10. What do you think? Bills, Eagles, Rams, Lions, Packers, Seahawks, Bucks, Chargers, Chiefs, and Colts. Really, really difficult. I'm not joking. This was such a difficult top 10 to put together for the week because so many shakeups, because a lot of top teams, they're going through problems. I just am like, I just kind of think about, from top to bottom, because I'm not just looking for a complete team. I'm looking at what they do well on certain spurts. That's why Green Bay is still top 5, because they did well the week before against Cleveland defensively, and then defensively they folded, but offensively they did well. So it's hard for me to really take out a team that I know and trust is going to be really, really good for the future. So again, everybody has bad weeks. Okay. Everybody has bad weeks. I'm not denying it. It's a hard selling pitch. I know it is, but like I said, you just have to be able to trust your gut on some of those spots and in some of those positions and just really make it happen, because that's the stuff that I know is going to turn a lot of those, teams that are capable of winning into actually winning those games. So yeah, that's why I like it. Honestly, I trusted my gut, and that's where I'm going with it. So, all righty, guys, appreciate you for coming on by here tonight. Loved it. Enjoy the rest of the postseason. I know Chase is going to be back up here Friday. We got Jason Colenso joining us talking New York sports, the Giants, the Yankees, all that good stuff. You don't want to miss it here on Friday's edition of the Snake Sports Talk Show. Have a great rest of your night, and we will see you guys on Friday. Take care, everyone.